So for those waiting for micro LED Apple Watches, there is some bad news because apparently they've been pushed back yet again, so let's delve into it. For those not aware, Ross Young first told us we can expect micro LED watches in 2024, but then said they have been pushed back to the second half of 2025. Now though, we have TrendForce telling us there's been yet another delay because there's been manufacturing issues, and so we should now expect this upgrade in 2026. Apparently, as it stands, these panels are too expensive to produce, and so Apple needs to bring the cost down first before beginning mass production. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. Also, unlike LCD and OLED, where Apple was relying on other suppliers to produce these panels, Apple wants micro LED to be something that's done in-house. They've allegedly already invested more than $1 billion on in-house micro LED development over the past decade to reduce its dependence on suppliers like Samsung Display, who of course charge insane money for their panels, but also Apple gets to have more control over the supply chain and the key components of their devices. So that's likely why there's continuous delays with this technology, because unlike in previous years where suppliers were basically doing everything for them, this time Apple has to plan things out themselves, and so as one expects, that process is taking much longer and has many hurdles they need to resolve first. Hopefully the wait will be worth it though, because micro LED is going to be the first big jump for the Apple Watch since its conception, since all watches till now have been using OLED. And so micro LED should give us high brightness, lower power consumption, which does improve battery life. There's going to be less risk of burn-in, which is important since these watches have always-on displays. And also we could see better contrast ratios, faster response times because of pixel level individual lights, and also the colors should be better. So in a nutshell guys, this will improve every aspect of the display on the watch, and it will be something you immediately appreciate. So it's unfortunate there will be a wait for this. Also, I do want to mention, this report, like previous reports, do say the Ultra will be the first to get this, and might even remain as an exclusive for the Ultra because it's very easy to upsell consumers with micro LED and the improvements it offers, and with many already buying the current Ultra in huge numbers, Apple can continue enticing more consumers to the highest end watch. Now for those wondering about this year's Ultra refresh, what can we expect? Well, honestly not much guys. I think the reason Apple's giving us this is because we know the Series 9 is getting a new SoC, so of course they have to give this to the Ultra as well. And as I've said in previous videos, the S9 on paper might sound like a big upgrade since it's going to be based on A15, which yes, is a lot more powerful than the S6, the S7 and the S8 that are based on the A13. But guys, do you realistically need a performance upgrade on a watch? There's a reason the S7, the S6 and the S8 are basically the same chips, and that's because they are powerful enough for most and what they do on these watches. Really, the only differences that could benefit consumers with the S9 is the longer support and possibly better battery life because it's going to be based on 5nm, but I don't think that's enough to get this over a refurbished Apple Watch Ultra Gen 1 or the Apple Watch Series 8. Anyways, we might get lucky and get some new color options with this year's Ultra since the original only came in one finish, and so that could be a somewhat big change with this generation. But yeah, that's basically it guys. We have not heard much regarding this watch. In fact, the only rumor we got was from Mark Gurman, who told us the code name, which is N210, but he tells us nothing else regarding the watch. And so while Apple could surprise us, I still think this year's Ultra is going to be a minor refresh, and that's because Apple usually gives us minor refreshes right after a major upgrade. Take for example the Mac Studio, that was a new category of Mac, and it was a big refresh, but of course, the M2 version was just a chip refresh, and so the same's happening with the Apple Watch Ultra. And so like I mentioned earlier guys, unless you want the S9 for future-proofing reasons, find the first gen Ultra for less instead. It's likely going to be on Apple's refurbished store pretty soon, and of course, there should be clearance sales via third-party retailers. I'm going to be recommending many go down that route, because this year's watches don't give us a ton of exciting upgrades, and in fact, I'm already seeing the Ultra go down to £600, and considering Apple Watches don't have incredible resale value, I do think there's a chance we see Apple Watch Ultras as low as £500 or less by the time we get the second gen. Of course, if you absolutely prioritize support over everything, you're gonna have to get the second gen, but considering the Series 4 is still supported, I don't think you'll have to worry about the S8 based Apple Watch Ultra losing support anytime soon. And if anything, I think it's worth saving some cash now and just settling for the original Ultra for less, and then spending the extra in the future for micro LED, because yes, I'm very sure there's going to be a price increase, like there usually is when the display is upgraded, and so till then there's no harm going for the older version instead, since the core experience is going to be very similar for the most part. Also, even if there's more reports regarding micro LED getting pushed back yet again, the original Ultra should be supported for years to come, and so yes guys, personally I would wait for the big refresh for the Ultra and not get the upcoming minor refreshes. Now there is a chance Apple does something big with the Ultra before 2026, like of course larger batteries or bigger displays based on the current OLED technology, so yes, in those instances I can see why you'd get the new watch, but for the most part, considering new watches don't bring that many changes usually, I still think it's worth going for an older watch that's going to be much less. I do want to finally mention that in this new report from TrendForce, we do hear the current micro LED panels being internally tested looks like the content is painted on top of glass, which does sound impressive and could mean the colors are going to be super bright and vivid. And of course, do remember, much like OLED, we could see this technology make its way to the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac and more in the future, but of course, the issue Apple needs to overcome first is mass producing micro LED panels that are large enough for these devices, since right now it's too expensive and difficult to produce, especially in the scale Apple needs. And so it does make sense of starting with the watches, since they have tiny displays in comparison, that's much easier to produce. Also, it's kind of crazy we're yet to get OLED on the iPads and Macs, that's only just coming in the next few years, and so micro LED for these much larger products are not coming anytime soon. Anyways, let's delve into your comments. So Charlie Gibson says, in my opinion, this MacBook should have been $100 cheaper than the Air, and they should have called it the MacBook instead of MacBook Pro. And yes, at one point, Apple had plans to do this, and that would be the only way I could see this MacBook making sense in the range, because if the older design came with a low price, you could justify living with the compromises. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.